got bullied into watching 4 minutes. Me, this girl right here. With all the mixed reviews floating around, I honestly couldn't be bothered. If there's one thing I know about polarizing shows, it's that the fans can get really messy. But I do love a good plot. Some of my favorite shows are the one that have me running around in circles, chasing dead ends. That being said, what's wilder than 4 Minutes' actual plot? The fact that you can find clips of the NC scenes of this show on porn sites. And by the way, I said this before, and I will say it again, unless it adds something to the story, nobody needs porn in their series. Dropping a heavy NC scene halfway through the first episode, before I even know these characters, doesn't add to my viewing experience. It just makes me deeply uncomfortable. I think a lot of people went into this show expecting a romantasy, mostly time travel. I, on the other hand, started it expecting absolute shite. And yet, I found it way more interesting than I anticipated. Not for the reasons the marketing suggested, though. Because, spoiler, there's no fantasy, no time travel, nothing. Instead, the show leans into medical and philosophical thriller territory, maybe even speculative science fiction, with themes that explore how the subconscious pulls from personal experiences and beliefs to quote unquote generate near death experiences. It dives into perception, consciousness, and how the brain constructs reality under extreme conditions, which I personally love. I completely get why people are frustrated. The way 4 Minutes was marketed made it seem like a light supernatural romance or thriller where Bible's character, Great, has a power that actively alters events. The show teases mystical and fantasy elements throughout, only to pull the rug out from under the viewers. And I don't think the bait and switch or the twist was executed well, and the ambiguous, non-linear storytelling could be really frustrating to anyone expecting something more straightforward, but especially since the execution is not the greatest. That being said, let's break down the plot of 4 Minutes so you don't have to. And disclaimer, I tried my best, but I might have missed some details because the more I rewatch the show, the more I think I don't understand the story. But I think that's mostly everyone's experience, so we're in good company, I guess. I also wanted to say before we go further that one of the most frustrating creative choices it makes is the sudden jarring switch to comedic sound effects and background music. It makes the show feel tonally confused, and especially with the themes of the show. This show is, I think, shot and edited beautifully. I know the non-linear storytelling is a choice and it did not land with everyone, but the acting and the dialogue actually work. The use of sound effects in certain instances just undercuts the good acting. And honestly, this isn't even a 4 minutes problem. It's a Thai BL epidemic at this point. The constant impulsive need to insert comedic elements is dragging down entire narratives that could have actually hit hard. Like, let your drama be drama. Trust the story and trust your audience. Like, there's no need to constantly reassure us that everything's going to be okay. We already know that this couple are going to end up together at the end. So, no need to reassure us. I know our generation's prone to anxiety, but we'll be fine. I just think it's such a disservice to the acting and the storytelling to constantly underline it with comedic relief. Just let the moment live. It's going to be fine. Anyway, I'm going off my soapbox now. Going back, so the whole theme of the plot of the show revolves around the research of Dr. Den, Time's friend from the hospital. He's researching the near death experiences of cardiac arrest patients, what they experience in the moment that their heart stopped. And as I said earlier, it was implied that the subconscious pulls from personal experiences and beliefs to generate the scenes or experiences that someone sees while near death or those few moments that someone actually died. So, which one is the real timeline? It's the timeline lived by the side characters that does not directly involve Great and Time. So, whatever is happening to Korn, Great's brother, and Tonkla, Korn's lover, that's the real timeline. That's moving outside of Great's subconscious. So, a lot of people actually died, is what I'm saying. So, rest in peace to Dom, Tonkla's brother, and Manny, the woman that got hit by the car, because they're really dead, unfortunately. But even then, the timeline is so confusing, and that's not something that we can put down to the storytelling style. Not really. It's just that the writing is so ineffective. It's one thing to mislead the audience with unreliable narration, and it's totally another for the whole plot to be so convoluted that no one can actually follow it. The whole thing feels like a fever dream written backwards. This show screams a writer built an entire 12 episode series to just get to one scene they couldn't stop thinking about. And that's fine. I've been there. I think a lot of writers have been. You reverse engineer an entire plot to justify one scene. But the thing is, you actually have to justify the whole plot and make sure that the pacing of the story does not suffer while you set up for that one scene that you wanted to put in there. Okay, so Great and Time met when they were kids, when Great's mom was still the mistress and had not been promoted to the legal wife, because of course they did. I'm starting to hate this trope that everyone is just fated to be together and already met during their childhood. I'm over it. Let me just say that I'm kind of digging the fact that Bible is the younger one here and he's the one being pursued. I'm not exactly clear on the age gap because Time is already a resident doctor and Great is still in uni. Not that it matters. So moving on. That's not the point. They met again when Great came to the hospital to get checked for the chest pains. Time recognized him as the son of the people involved in his parents' death, and he proceeded to insert himself into Great's life so he could investigate the family further. Great did not get Vegas' brain because Great is a bit dumb. It doesn't even feel like he's the main character here. Nothing much happened to him. Things just happened around him, but it's not exactly about him, which is weird given that he's the main character, supposed to be. So Tonkla, my favorite character, honestly, he's a bit unhinged, which is the main reason why I love him. I also take offense that the show is implying that Tonkla's obsession with being fucked raw is a sign of his murderous tendencies, because you can't convince me that there's no significant to that information when they've focused on it two times in the show. You can't tell me that's not important. Dunclass' mental state unravels with each blow that he got throughout the show. There's his brother's death, Dom, Korn's absolutely disgusting attitude towards him, and the lack of progress in the investigation to his brother's death. So he killed Tyro, that's Great's friend from the uni, the same way that Tyro killed Dom with a rock to the head and threw him in the river, as well as shot Great in that orange elevator. I thought for sure Time was the one who shot Great, and I would not even be mad if that's what really happened. I honestly think all of these are Korn's fault, and no one can convince me otherwise. The reveal of the mastermind was so underwhelming because at that point, no one actually cares about it anymore. This review is supposed to be about underwhelming endings, but this is more like a series of underwhelming events thrown in together. Anyways, where did 4 minutes come from? The 4 minutes concept. It's from the art show or whatever exhibit you want to call it that Great attended, and I guess it stuck to him and manifested into that fever dream while he was fighting for his life. Why Time experienced the same thing when all of these are supposed to be happening inside Great's head? I actually don't fucking know. Lost the plot at that point. I would have preferred this show to be in line with Absolute Zero and or even Triage and just lean into the plot, but I guess I can't always get what I want. But I still would have preferred less meat in my salad. Thank you very much. The plot is built on solid idea, okay? But it was undermade with the terrible execution. It was disjointed shuffle of scenes where it's impossible to tell what's real, what's subconscious, what's metaphorical, and what's just leftover hallucination from the editing room. Like I said, some type of fever dream. So the unreliable narrator style is a valid plot and even a powerful storytelling tool. They can challenge viewers to think critically, question reality, and engage more deeply. This is not that though. I think this show thinks it's so smart, but that falls flat when no one understands it, when actually it's just not communicating anything clearly at all. And I heard that quite a lot as well. And I was actually mocking some of my friends that you just don't get it. But seriously, did anyone actually get the show? Are you or are you just saying that to be included with those in the know? Because I don't think anyone knows. And anyone that's saying it's just an artistic choice, get out of here. There's a difference between intentional ambiguity and narrative incoherence. At its core, the idea of exploring the mind in the moments between life and death could have been really powerful. The emotional and existential possibilities are endless, but that's not even the main focus of the story if you think about it. I feel like watching two different shows slapped together, barely holding on. So I'm not even mad at this show, okay? I actually really enjoyed it. We appreciate BOC for being ambitious. I just really hope that they were able to follow through. So, did you watch 4 minutes? Did you like it? Did you enjoy it? Did you even understand it? Because most of the time, I certainly didn't. And that's enough yapping for the day, I think. Drink your water, stay hydrated because it's fucking hot. Bye bye.